Well, YouTube, good morning. Here in Piqua. I wasn't sure if I was going to do another video today, but the site that you are standing on, that I am standing on, is one of my more well-known videos in Piqua. I remember when I came up here in 2014 or 2015. This was the old lot of Bennett Junior High. And here we got houses around, bike path below, the river below. Here, absolutely nothing 7 years later. And this is a problem, all throughout the country, where these school districts, they're allowed to tear down perfectly good schools, very sound schools, because these old schools were built far much better than what these newer ones are, which are being constantly repaired. And it's really time that the citizens, start demanding that there's some actual price discovery on what this land that these schools sell is really worth. And also they need to simplify the process, rediscover the price, price discovery, eliminate some of the red tape. And they need to have totally independent realtors that don't live in the city but live in the region, and have an honest assessment of at least 3 or 4 realtors, say, what is the land, really worth, what is this piece of property really worth, instead of the school districts in the state just being allowed to just, try and charge however much that they want for it. And this is a problem I've seen down in Dayton and in many cities, where many former school sites sit empty because there's just too much of a hindrance, to build here. And obviously, what could you really build here? Well, you could probably build a fitness center or a recreation center, or probably some kind of apartment complex. I know one of the schools, I heard, 1 or 2 of the schools that were saved in Piqua, and I believe they're not far from here, the Bethany Center, which is a place, for poor people to get help at up here. And I know there's enough poor people in Piqua. Out of all the 3 cities along Interstate 75 in Miami County, Piqua is considered the least well off and the least wealthy by far. So yeah, that helps, poor people out. And I heard one of the other schools was turned into a senior apartments. I don't see why they could not have done that here. And it's an absolute beautiful day. And I'll post a link to the video that I made. I believe it was in 2014, and I believe it was around the late summer. It was sometime during the summer that year in 2014 when I made the video of Bennett Junior High School, just the exterior, walking around. It was a beautiful old school that they had just, it should have been saved, or something else should have been done with it. They could have done something else with it. And now, the taxpayers up here 7 years later, still is nothing built here. And probably another 7 years later in 2028, unless there is some drastic changes in how school property is being evaluated, the price, and simplify the red tape. you know, where they can, you know, get this land, you know, sold, you know, for something that's actually productive. You know, we don't need any more, I don't know what to build here, because we don't really need any more warehouses or industrial parks or office parks or office buildings. We got enough of that around. So what would you like to see put here? I mean, one idea I have is, and I think this would actually be a really good idea, the YMCA in town is a little bit older. This would be a good lot to at least build a newer one, but I'm not sure how good the parking would be here, but that would be a possibility. You know, something like that. I would be curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this, but yeah, it's a shame 7 years later, and unfortunately, if something else is not done, it'll still be empty probably 7 years later if things are not changed.